Welcome back to another episode of Void City Customs. I am Dan, and today we're going to be looking at how I made a couple of Bruce Wayne and Unmasked Batman action figures here. These are essentially McFarlane Toys Batman figures, although one of them does use a Mattel WWE body, and we will get into just exactly which pieces I use here. And let's just jump right in. These are pretty easy and pretty quick, and that's why I'm showing both of these at the exact same time. They're pretty much the same type of idea, and they go together pretty well, so let's just jump right in. I'll start off here with Bruce Wayne. This is one I've had a few requests for, actually, and I've been actually just trying to wait until I found the correct body I wanted to use for it. I had originally thought about using the same body I used for Clark Kent, who I will throw in there just for size comparison and just comparing their suits and whatnot. So there's Clark, there is Bruce. So of course, obviously, once I made this Clark Kent, I needed to have a Bruce Wayne. And like I said, there were some requests for it. I already knew from the start which head I was going to use. The Superman Red Sun action figure. So this guy right here, Red Sun Superman. That face to me has always looked far more like a Bruce Wayne face than a Superman face, just from the start. The only thing I did was I chopped off a very little bit of the front of the hair, and I will show you that. Let me just get this guy out of the way. I did this on both of the figures. The hair has the same modifications to it. I basically just trimmed right here, the very front off of the hair using an X-Acto blade. Just kind of trimmed it off, shaped it a little bit so it doesn't stick out as much and have kind of that Superman shape to it, that pompadour. Just kind of more slick back look to it like Bruce Wayne would have. And when you do that, there is blue plastic inside. It is kind of blue at its core and then painted black over the top of it. So what I did then for both of my Bruce Wayne figures is I used this paint right here. This is called Game Color, and this is just some black paint. And it is, I guess I would say it's semi-glossy. It's not ridiculously glossy and shiny, but it's also definitely not a matte finish where it's going to be dull over the top of it. So if you want them to have kind of more of a dull hair look to them, you can throw a layer of dull coat over the top of that. Dull coat right there, we use that a lot. So if you want that to be, like I said, more of a matte finish, not so shiny of hair. However, I thought he'd have some gel or some mousse in his hair, so I left it just as is, kind of shiny on top. I left them both that way. Now, the body I used, and I just kind of happened upon this in the store one day, and it was kind of right after it came out. I saw it in Target, $10. Figured, you can't go wrong with that. This is a Mattel Basic Series 119 Triple H action figure. I'll throw a graphic up so you guys can see what he looked like. I don't know where his head went right now. I still have it somewhere here because it's actually a very good head sculpt, and if you find one that's got decent paint on it, sometimes the Basic Series figures that paint's off and it just looks like something out of your nightmares. But if you find one where the paint is really good, it's actually a really good kind of current Triple H. It actually looks a lot like him, so I kept mine. It's around here somewhere in case I ever have a character that could use that. I don't know, maybe Kratos someday. Make a custom one of him. We'll see. I don't know. So I saw that in the store and thought, hey, that worked pretty well. Usually the WWE figures scale fairly well with the DC Multiverse McFarlane figures. So I kind of held them up next to another one in the aisle, and just to make sure in the package at the store, so I didn't get home and find out it was just completely nonsensical. And it looked just about right. Brought him home, and lo and behold, he is just a little bit shorter than Clark Kent, which I think is appropriate. I mean, that's fine with me, because I think, especially outside of his bat suit, just wearing some dress shoes and whatnot, I mean, that might be, just about right. Here, I just kind of have him holding one of the closed batarangs from one of the Arkham McFarlane figures, just to kind of tie in that he is Batman. But the reason I picked this figure is because, it's a black suit with a black shirt underneath, but it's kind of open at the collar, so he's kind of got to look like the Playboy guy who's, you know, kind of aloof, whatever. Whereas Clark Kent always is looking more professional, so he's got the tie, that's why I gave him that, and the white shirt underneath. But I just figured it'd be kind of appropriate, it sets them apart. I didn't have to use the same body for both of them and then just paint the suits. So I do like that they had totally different body sculpts and they look different. My only sadness from this would be that it's not a McFarlane Toys body. And obviously if he comes out with another figure at some point that has a similar body proportionally, the correct, you know, colored suit, or just a suit in general that I can repaint, then, you know, maybe I'll grab that up and do a switcheroo. Otherwise, I think this works fine for now. The only real modification that was needed was when I put the head on here. Pretty much the ball and peg that is inside here, once you take Triple H's head off, it is a bit bigger than the ball and peg that is normally the basic McFarlane size. He's got like pretty much a general size for most of his 7-inch action figure heads. So what I did was I took my X-Acto blade and I hollowed out just a tiny bit of the inside of Bruce's head here, but I also then whittled down the ball on top of the peg on the neck inside of here, and that way they kind of just fit together and I could still turn his head and whatnot. I haven't glued it or anything, but it's a really tight fit, so I think it works very well as a Bruce Wayne action figure. So there's Bruce Wayne for you. Let's jump right over now to Unmasked Batman. So here is Batman Unmasked. This is another one that I kind of just came together out of nowhere. I had the head lying around. That was actually when I was very first putting together my new 52 Superman figure, another one I have a video for. I used this head before any other ones were available, and obviously that only lasted for a week or so, and then I just had it lying around. So I had this body for this Batman because I used his head on a different Batman figure. We will get to that in another couple of videos. However, that left me with an Arkham body. I also used his cape for that other figure I'm talking about. So I've got this Arkham body from Arkham Knight, also from McFarlane, with no cape and no head. I also, at one point, had an unmasked Thomas Wayne action figure. This guy right here. So, unmasked Thomas Wayne. At one point, I was looking to do some customization with him, and they had a lot of him, and they needed to make some room when the new Build-A-Figure line came out, so they threw him on a clearance peg. So I grabbed another one, and I was going to use him to make a Hal Jordan. Lo and behold, like 3 days later, McFarlane announces he's going to make his own Hal Jordan for that 2-pack, so I just waited and scooped him up while I had this guy lying around. Well, if you notice, on Unmasked Thomas Wayne, there is an extra piece that they added on here because they also have this figure masked. So for this version of the figure, there's an extra piece they threw on that's this cowl that's basically like kind of squished up as he's removed it, and it's kind of back behind his head. So it's a cloth cowl and it's kind of hanging back there, but there's the ears and you can see it's back there. It's actually kind of a really nice detail, and it just slips right over the neck of this character and fits right in place. It's kind of glued on there. So I used the old hot water dunk trick and peeled it off of there, and wouldn't you know, it actually fit 100% perfectly right around the neck of the Arkham Knight figure. It just fit right on there like it's the exact same shape. I didn't have to glue it down or anything, and it's just setting right on there. So now it looks like his mask is off, or his cowl, I guess I should say, whichever version you prefer. Some people say mask, some people say cowl. But there, now his is down. So now it looks like he's taken his mask off, and there's your Bruce Wayne. Now, I would love to know in the comments what you guys think about this, because there is 1 or 2 steps left that I could do with this figure. The first one I'm almost definitely going to do at some point. I just have to find the right magnets for it and maybe the smallest amount. Usually if you buy itty bitty little earth magnets, you have to buy like 100 of them, and I don't necessarily need 100 little tiny magnets sitting around. I don't necessarily want that. That can be dangerous for a couple different reasons. You just don't want to have a bunch of little itty bitty magnets lying around. I only need 2 at the moment, or maybe a couple more for other customs. It might be nice to have a few of them lying around. I might have just talked myself into it. Anyway, I need some little magnets because I would love to make a cape for this guy where I would put some little magnets right here in the notches where his vinyl cape used to be attached and kind of paint over them, and then make a cloth cape, cut it out, and glue in little magnets into that, so I'd be able to stick that cape on here, but also have it be removable so he could hold it in his hand. I think that would be really cool looking. So that's gonna happen at some point. That's definitely going to happen. The other thing I was thinking of doing, I haven't done it yet because it would be a lot more permanent and change the figure for good. I would love to get the community feedback on this. Let me know in the comments below. So, in the new The Batman movie, Robert Pattinson, they seem to acknowledge the fact that Batman, under his cowl, would have makeup over his eyes, black makeup on his eyelids and whatnot to hide them, because that's not part of the mask. They try to imply in the movies that that's part of the mask, like he'll take off his mask and just have no face paint on. That's not the case. Every single Batman has had black eye makeup around their eyes inside of the mask. Watch Batman Returns. The second he takes his mask off in front of Selena Kyle and Max Schreck, they cut away from him and show her, then they cut back to him. Before he puts his hand in front of his face and lips, the black eye makeup around his eyes is gone. And it just looks so strange that suddenly there's just full skin color around Michael Keaton's eyes for like 2 seconds. And they just kind of hope you won't notice it. But I think they should have left it on, just big smears of paint across his face. I think it would have looked awesome and it would have matched the rest of the scene. But Robert Pattinson's, getting back to the point, has that face paint. I was thinking of adding that to this Bruce Wayne. Still not sure if I'm going to do it, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Anyway, there you have it. Like I said, really easy switches. Just basically swapping a head on this one and popping another piece around the neck. You didn't even need any glue. All you need to do is repaint a little bit after you trim his hair. And the same here, just swapping a head out. You have to trim the peg a little bit and maybe trim out the inside where it goes inside of the head a little bit. But after that, they fit right on there. No glue again. The only paint was for the hair again, so I just did both those at the same time. Very simple, and you get 2 new figures out of it. And they're ones that a lot of people are always asking for, both an Unmasked Batman, something I know Toast is always looking for. He loves the unmasked action figures. It is a dream of his, and also I guess of mine, and probably of most toy collectors, that pretty much every figure with a masked character would come with an alternate head that is unmasked. That would be fantastic. Make that happen, toy makers. That would be so cool. Just figure it out. Find a way. Just do it. Just, if you can't make guns with the figures anymore, give them all alternate heads. There you go. Either way, there you go. So there is 2 custom Bruce Wayne figures. One is Batman unmasked. One is Bruce Wayne in a suit. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed watching how I made both of these figures. Remember to like and subscribe so you can see our next custom videos. I know Toast is still working on a few, and I've got plenty left to show you guys. Plus a few new ones I have just started, including my biggest project to date. Both size-wise, it's going to be a very large action figure, and just as far as what's going into the making of it. I think it's going to take a lot of the different skills that you've seen across all these videos all mashed together into one figure. But if it comes out the way I'm hoping, it will be a figure that doesn't really exist anywhere else for the most part either. There's only one other version of this figure that I know of, and it's terrible. So that's why I'm hoping to make a lot nicer version of this figure. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. My name is Dan. This is Void City Customs, part of the Void City Reviews channel, and we hope to see you next time here at Void City. Take it easy.